Hello, everyone. First, I want to say Sam is not with us today. It's just me. So we are changing the setup just a little bit. The episode that we were going to do today is going to happen next week. And what we were going to do next week, moving up to now. So what we're doing is having somebody call into the show to let us help him de-indoctrinate from the problem that he says he has, which I'm going to talk about in a second. We're going to put him on right now. Hello.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing? I'm
Well,
guessing they can't answer, so yeah.
they can in the comments. We don't have many people with us. They don't usually join right from the beginning. They come later. It's
All
okay though.
right.
So you put the name Trappa. Is that how to pronounce it? Trappa?
Yep, trappa.
Trappa. Okay. Hello, Trappa. So
Hello.
we talked a little bit right before this started. So we've already built a little bit of rapport. I already feel comfortable talking with you. I'm guessing you do too with me.
Yep.
So one thing I'm going to ask now is, as we do this, little meeting, I would like to take notes, and then at the end of the meeting, like to give you that document, and then you keep it for yourself, and then edit it afterwards. So is that cool?
Sure. I mean, what will the document help with again?
Well, it's going to let us record what we're saying. That's the most
Okay.
general thing.
All right, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a user agreement.
Otherwise, we will forget it.
Okay.
So let's see. Here we go. And I just started already with something here. This just says like your goal. It's also a problem, conflict, question, purpose. They're all the same thing. And then based on that, we're going to come up with an action plan. Okay. And to be clear, part of the action plan is something you're already doing right now. You got on this live stream with me. Okay. And I'm going to put a note here. The thing you had an issue with, and which we mentioned just a few minutes ago, is to do with nihilism.
Yeah.
Although we need to make this a whole sentence, not just one word. Or nihilism. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, make it more from existentialism because mine is more pessimistic.
Okay, so now let's form this into a goal or a problem or a conflict or a question or a purpose. Okay, what is it that you're trying to do? And by the way, if you have trouble making this, I can make something and then you can try to edit it.
All right. So the problem itself is it isn't that I can't find meaning, it's just that after I de-indoctrinated myself, things just seemed way more nihilistic, in the real world. Because it just seemed
Sorry, my
like
typing overshadowed your voice, so I'm gonna make this louder, your voice. And as I was typing, I couldn't hear you, so I have a really loud keyboard.
okay, that's all right.
So what I wrote down is it's not that I can't find meaning; it's that after what?
It is that after I de-indoctrinated myself, things just seems a lot more dark, because there's no afterlife and stuff, because the world's unfair and stuff, and you can't really do much about it. At least in that in that system, there was something in the end.
So I didn't really understand what you're saying. It's not that I can't find meaning; it's that after I indoctrinated myself, and then there should be a sentence coming next.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it.
Like after I de-indoctrinated myself, things just seemed more meaningless in the long run.
Okay, well, I would say if you still have this problem, then you haven't finished de-indoctrinating. So I don't know what you mean by you de-indoctrinated yourself. Can you tell me what you mean?
Oh, as in I got the idea that it's all made up, and
So just that you left Islam.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's one small part of de-indoctrinating yourself. I assume people think, I think that people think that when they leave Islam, they're done, that they rejected all of the bad ideas. But that's not how it works. A ton of the ideas that you got from Islam is still in you, and you don't even recognize them as Islam.
Yeah, because I'm at the same time, like surrounded by Muslims and stuff, and some might be good, some might be bad, but they're gonna stay there either way, and I like to keep it that way, so I can't exactly get Islam out of the picture all the way.
So this is not formed into a goal yet. So I'm going to put it in the notes. Okay, this is just something you said that we will try to use. This is, I guess, how you're describing your problem. You're saying you're finding meaninglessness. Okay, life is meaningless. You're saying.
Yeah, to some extent, yeah.
Yeah.
Me personally, I can find meaning in it, but when looking at global inequality and knowing that there's no justice to it in the end, that that just makes life a lot harder to live,
Okay, so I think you finally said something that I can connect to something tangible. You used to, like, Islam told you that there is cosmic justice.
Yeah, in the end, and it made you happy
For people
because
who don't get punished in this life, and also reward, cosmic reward, for people who got screwed in this life.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But here's the point, though. So Islam gave you this idea, and you still have the idea in your head, and you're sad because what you're seeing is that there isn't any cosmic justice, and you want there to be.
Yeah, I want there to be, but just not the Islamic one, because that one just does not seem right, as in the verse is about.
So it seems like a good question would be, why do you want there to be cosmic justice? Wouldn't
you
that
want
be
me
a
to
good
answer
question?
that?
I mean, whether you answer it now or 10 years from now, it seems like it's a relevant thing. Maybe you already have the answer. It's just I don't know what it is. You haven't told me yet.
Why do I want there to be some? Because
Yeah.
because I, as a human, justice, maybe it is a man-made concept that humans eventually embedded it into religion, but there should be justice because there is endless suffering, that
So let me ask
shouldn't.
you, do you think justice and punishment are the same thing? Like, justice must include punishment?
I guess punishment is a part of justice, I presume.
So, like, is a part of that means justice can't be had without there also being punishment. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So
That's
you
what's
think?
in the legal system, and that's what's in Jahannam and Jannat, I guess.
Tell me what you mean by the legal system. Like in the U.S., you're in the U.S. Oops, I just gave out some information.
That's all right.
See, that one we don't have to say anything specific, like the state or anything else. You're
Yeah.
in the U.S. Tell me what you mean by punishment is in the system.
As in, you do good, you do bad, there are consequences according to the legal system for it. And
That's not what punishment means, because there can be, like, by the way, I'm against punishment. I believe it's evil. And I also believe we should have prison. But that's not for punishment, it's for defense. To defend society from those criminals. And now here's the
okay.
point. Inside of prison, how do I think it should be? Well, it should be for reform, not for punishment. Let me tell you what punishment does. It makes the criminal even worse. And if they do come out, when they come out, they're an even worse person than they were before.
I mean, in our system, yeah, it is quite a bad system, doesn't it?
Because of the punishment. If it was instead 100% pure just reform, so there's things like, it's an old concept that US prisons have libraries. Why do we have libraries? Well, it's not for punishment, it's for reform. It's not for enjoyment, it's for reform. And some prisons in the US have gotten better than other ones, and they got away from punishment and went more towards reform. And then in other countries, like in Western countries, they did it way better than the US. Okay,
So
like in Sweden.
So your idea is something along the lines of what Norway is doing?
I don't know what Norway's doing, but it's one of those. It's probably all three of those countries because the same kind of people, same kind of culture.
Okay.
Yeah, they like prison is seen as okay. You're in prison, but it's not there to punish you. You have all the amenities maybe anyone else has. You have a. It's not like a shitty. It's not like a dungeon and gray and no TV. It's not like that. It's you got everything. And
Yeah.
what happens there is it's not they become better people and they don't want and if you imagine this other thing that happens in the US, there's some people that go to jail because they don't have a house. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the whole for-profit prisons part, yeah, I get all
Yeah,
of
that's
it.
all fucked up, and that's not what's happening over there. Over there, what my pure guess is that if nobody's trying to commit a crime to go to prison in order to have housing, probably because the welfare system there is better, so it's easier to get a house without prison. Where in the US, there's some people doing that.
Oh, you're saying like there's negative things in the society that pressure people to do bad things for basic needs that they should have in the
Well,
first place.
I don't think that's a big factor. A lot of people in prison only because they smoked some weed or sold some weed.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. That kind of
Yeah,
stuff
I
just
agree.
pisses me off.
But the problem is reform is understandable from your part, but would the victims of criminals agree with it or not, because they demand justice or whatever they see as justice, as in sometimes the way it is in Islam, the eye for an eye part.
Yes, good point.
That kind of makes
That's the same thing.
yeah, that kind of made sense. And even if it doesn't to others, like if the victim get something, the victim gets something out of it, then that's somewhat justifiable, I guess.
Um, so, would you say this is an accurate way to describe your conflict?
Oh, let me read. Cosmic punishment because I. Yeah, to a large extent, yeah.
So there's multiple. So let's describe this as two ideas that conflict with each other. So now let's imagine hypothetical ways to resolve a conflict like this. Do you see the easy one? I mean, you can't change reality, right? Are you there? Hello?
My bad.
Oh, you're back?
Yeah.
Okay. Lost you for a second. So here's what I was saying. Do you see the conflict here? There's two ideas that don't mesh with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. And like, can you imagine hypothetical ways that this conflict could be resolved? Like,
Mhm.
imagine, and this is a crazy imagination. I'm just saying it. Like, you can't change reality, right? So that's not the way to resolve this conflict.
Mhm.
The way to resolve this conflict, really, the only option is to change what you want. And this brings up an issue. What I find is there's people, at least in some ways, in the way they think, they want something and then choose their beliefs based on what they want. And then there's people who they first figure out the truth and then want stuff based on the truth. Uh, and you seem to be stuck in the middle because in the past, I think what happened was you wanted cosmic punishment, therefore you believed in cosmic punishment. But then
Yeah,
you put your brain to it a little bit and you realized, okay, there isn't cosmic punishment. But you have this conflict of, you used to be doing, I want something, therefore I believe it. But it needs to go the other way around. I believe something, and then therefore I make my wants based on that.
yeah, and partially is because I just grew up with it, so it's already ingrained in my brain. I can't exactly see any other way out, and if because any other way out just seems too improbable or nihilistic, which brings us back to square one.
Well, let's clarify that then. You think that the solution, Trappa thinks the way out implies nihilism or meaninglessness. Yeah, why? Can you tell me why you believe that?
Oh, no, nihilism isn't the way out. Is this a byproduct of it, which in itself is now a problem in my eyes?
Yeah, I think that's what I said here. Trappa thinks that the way out of this conflict leads to nihilism. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But why do you believe this? Can you tell me why you believe this?
Oh, because there's nothing in the end then.
Why does meaninglessness attach to that dumb concept from Islam and other dumb religions?
Probably
Like,
because it was there in the first place, because it
no. I'm
decided
talking
that.
about in your brain, in your current reasoning. I'm not talking about the past. In your current reasoning, why do you believe that if there's no cosmic justice, that means there's nihilism? Like, what? By the way, that's not connecting for me. I don't know how you're jumping to that. So I'm still trying to understand what your conflict is.
Oh, because there was an afterlife in the first place, and now there isn't, and because before that, everything done in this world was attached to the afterlife, as in
So
that
the
was
only way there's meaning is if it's attached to the afterlife.
to a large extent, yeah. And sure, I get your part, as in you can remove nihilism by creating meaning in this world, but
Well, that's the only real meaning. The afterlife was just made up bullshit. There was never any meaning there. It was all fake meaning.
yeah, it's just sure I can go that part, but then how do I come in terms with the idea that there's so much suffering in the world and all those people can't do nothing about it, as in we
You could
we
do
are
shit,
just
try to make the world better.
yeah, but for a lot of people they don't see that betterment and they just die.
Yeah, and imagine the last 3,000 years or 10,000 years of humans experiencing that and in worse ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like how do you not see a problem with that?
What do you mean I don't see a problem with it? I see a problem with it. And the solution is let's fix the world.
Yeah, but that's where humanity comes in, as in we can only do so much because we're ingrained in a way that there always will be problems and they won't get fixed all the way ever.
Good point. Problems are solvable and problems are inevitable.
Yeah, they're hypothetically solvable, but in the human world, is
No,
just
I'm not
not.
talking about hypothetical. I'm saying something I'm repeating from a philosopher. David Deutsch, in his book, The Beginning of Infinity, says all problems are solvable. He says the word soluble, but it's the same thing. And he follows it with also problems are inevitable. And what that means is when you solve a problem, it introduces new problems. But by the way, problems are not automatically bad. And also, when you solve a problem, like a harsh, big suffering type of problem, and you solve it and it produces more problems, those suffering problems will be and can be less harsh than the original ones. So you're moving to a better state as you move forward. In the same book, he says, all evil is due to lack of knowledge. Chew on that for a moment.
Lack of knowledge or lack of empathy for others?
Knowledge. What is empathy? Understanding somebody. How do you understand somebody? You put knowledge in your brain about it.
Okay, fair enough. Fair correlation.
Empathy, if you look up the definition, it is trying to understand somebody. That's knowledge.
Yeah.
What this means is that the way to stop evil is to gain the relevant knowledge. And it means that evil is not caused by race or genes or some inevitability that you can't change. Oh, there's another point I should say here. Anybody can learn anything. No limits. The only limits, and it's weird to say no limits and then say the only limits. The only limit is you can't break the laws of nature. And I mean the actual laws of nature, not the laws that we know of today, which are approximations of the actual laws of nature. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm putting too much of this in the goal because this is not part of the goal. I'm gonna move all this down to notes. These are just kind of a little bit random, not too well organized ideas. By the way, I don't think that this is. I think this is a good starting point for you to identify your conflict. The goal would be something like resolve the conflict,
Yeah.
That's the same as the purpose. Anyway, and then the question might be, how do I do that? And actually, initially, it's the earlier question was, what is the conflict? I recommend we talk a little bit about the action plan. Okay.
Oh,
you there?
This kind of sounds like what psychiatrists say.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what by the way, my background is not like that. My background is in physics. Education background, school.
Dang. Well, is it a bachelor's or what?
Bachelor's, yeah.
Dang, good for you, man.
Thanks.
That's
And the other
impressive.
person that does this live stream with me, who's not here today, he's a PhD in physics.
Wow.
Theoretical physics.
I have a friend trying to do that, but he's not doing it because he believes there's not enough.
I didn't catch what you said. I didn't hear it. Say that again.
That
I'm not hearing you well. The audio is going in and out. We're having audio trouble. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yep.
Yeah, my bad. I'm outside. It's 5G, but I don't know what's the problem. Yeah. So my rant is that there's people who only see suffering, and then just die. And in my eyes, that just doesn't add up,
Doesn't add up, but okay. It has to add up. What is it supposed to add up to?
As in, is this too nihilistic and existentialistic in the sense that that's it? Those people don't get a second chance or any improvement, as in, or why are they even born to deserve that?
Deserve that.
Yeah, and I've been on the other side of it, and one of my other philosophies was that a lot of human nature just comes from survivalism, and there will always be evil because humans tend to aim toward survival and they'll do questionable stuff to achieve it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what point you're trying to make there. But can I continue with what I was trying to say? Unless you want to clarify your point.
Yeah, sure.
I was just saying that I think this is a good starting point to at least exposing what your conflict is and establishing some sort of goal that you can work with. And then I think we should talk about an action plan. Okay. Of course, your first step was to just get on this live stream. I'm going to recommend that you watch a couple of episodes. It's the 2 episodes right before this one to get an idea. It's basically a lecture format of me and Osama explaining how to de-indoctrinate yourself. And you're going to see a little bit of the language you see here, but it's going to be a lot better than just hearing the little bits and pieces. I'm barely saying anything here. Mostly I'm just talking about your ideas rather than talking about our general ideas about how to de-indoctrinate, okay?
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you want to watch those 2 episodes?
Yeah, sure. But, well, what's your answer to my question then? As in, when you see endless suffering and then people just dying, how do you make yourself feel better about it?
I don't feel bad about it.
Feel better about it,
Well, I don't feel bad, so I don't need to feel better. I don't have this. I don't have this. I don't have this conflict because I don't have this idea in my head. And by not having this idea in my head, that's why I don't feel bad about whatever thing you're saying.
Can you elaborate on that? As in, what conflict do you not have?
Well, I mean, if you think of the history of it, when I was a Muslim, I never thought of that either. I more thought of what's going on this planet. I wasn't thinking about cosmic punishment. It's not a thing that people indoctrinated me with much. I mean, I heard about the idea once or twice, but it didn't sink into me. Like, it didn't matter to me. You know what I mean? Similarly, look, everyone got a different flavor of Islam based on what their parents gave them. Yeah. I never even got the fear of hell because they didn't push that on me.
Yeah.
So I never got the idea of there should be cosmic punishment. So I don't have this bad feeling you get when you think of we didn't deserve this. Somebody suffers their whole life and then dies, and then they don't get heaven. You're feeling bad about that. I don't. You're asking me why I don't feel bad. Well, because I never got indoctrinated with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but there's atheistic people who feel bad about it and feel nihilistic about it just as me, and they weren't indoctrinated.
Well, you're gonna have to bring them on and let them talk to me. I don't know what the hell they're talking about or thinking, and I've never heard of these people.
Well, then your philosophy just kind of reminds me about the Mark Taylor, as in ordinary people are evil.
Ordinary people are evil. I don't know what you mean. Does that guy say stuff? All evil is due to lack of knowledge?
No, he basically says that ordinary people are evil in the sense that they ignore helping the world every day, just because the poverty isn't right in front of them,
Well, the vast majority
as in if there was a child drowning in a fountain in front of them and they don't help them out, almost everyone would say that, oh, that person is wrong, they didn't help out. But if that child is a continent across, then people just choose to ignore it, which is where
most people's problem is they're so buried in their shit lives they cannot even think about anyone else.
Yeah.
They barely have time to think. They're drowning in their own problems within their own family.
True.
They can't help, and they're barely surviving with their own money here. Now, if you think of other kind of people who do have a lot of resources, let's say a very rich person, and let's say they're only helping themselves and helping their family, and they don't help anyone else anywhere. Like, they don't give a fuck about any other thing or any other country or another city or anything else. There are people like that. But what's your question about them? I thought you were asking me to analyze something.
What's my question about them? Oh, that they're evil people?
Are they evil? Well, compared to the people that actually go do help, then yes. You know, if somebody builds themselves up in this world and then uses their power to help a million other people, that's better than, less evil, more good than somebody who built themselves up a lot of power and then only bought yachts for themselves.
Yeah, that kind of dives into another problem, which is the infinite amount of subjectivity in the human world. As in, so much of good and evil is derived purely from people's perspective and lives, And religion kind of it brought an objectivity to it, kind of simplified it to some extent. But the
Simplified
only
it and
problem
made
is
it
is
all
that
wrong.
objectivity just seems obsolete to today's moral standards. Like when Islam says that half of because like when you look at Islam, let me tell you like a verse which says that you can hear me right
Yeah, I hear you.
that ma- majority of the people, I think it was half of the people, yeah, there will be two major groups of people in there will be, oh yeah, my bad, the major group in heaven would be poor people. And you look at that and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, poor people face so much difficulty, they deserve more in the afterlife. But then it says majority of the people in hell will be women, and you're like, what the fuck, man, you know and that's where it's just hard accepting Islam's version of the afterlife.
Hard accepting. Yeah. You don't want to accept contradictions. You see them as incorrect.
Yeah, they don't match with basic morals. Yeah. And then when people argue about it, that, oh, it's perfect and everlasting, but then you realize that so much of Islam that even those people implement is kind of an indirectly reformed version of it, they they just keep mentioning the idea of the Quran being unchanged. Like, my guy, sure, but whether it's unchanged or not, you don't exactly apply proper Sharia law that they did.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not really understanding what you're saying. Mm. It's okay though. If you want, you can try saying it again, or we could go back to what I was doing or what we were
Oh,
doing.
oh yeah. I mean, what my idea was is that Islam's version of justice just seems obsolete and just seems tied to the one that existed in 14th century Arab tribalism. Sorry, what was it? 700 AD. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. 630 or 640s.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, one thing to understand is, look, human knowledge is evolving over time. Okay,
Yeah.
our best understanding of things today is a lot better than our best understanding of things 1,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago. And that means every field. Of course, some fields advanced earlier and faster than others, but you know, like universal uh, human rights, and then even things like animal rights. That's all new stuff. And if you imagine another 1,000 years from today, or 1,000,000 years from today, well, it'll be even better than today. And more percentage of the people will have that better morality.
I sure hope so.
Well, that's what's been happening over the entire history of humans. Of course, there's ups and downs, but overall, it's getting better. And if you don't, if that's something that you don't know about, or you see as otherwise, well, if you read some of the books that I recommend, it does talk about it. Um, Let me continue on what I was saying here. So, so you said you're going to watch these two episodes preceding this one. After watching those two episodes, in there you're going to see me talking about journaling and also therapy. Have you ever done journaling or therapy?
I have tried therapy. Yeah. I'm trying it right now. I'm on my way to a spiritual therapist.
So I highly recommend journaling I see therapy as like an addition to your own journaling. If you're doing journaling, if you're doing therapy but without the journaling, that's kind of weird. Like you're doing the
Oh,
thing
it's
that
not as effective.
it's not even close. It's not even close. The journaling is the main one. I mean, you got to see it as you're fixing yourself, and you're using, that's what journaling is, and you're using the therapist as an expert person that knows things you don't know how to do.
Uh-huh.
And you should see it as what, when you're spending time with them, you're learning their skills. I mean, they don't say that. They don't say they're teaching you skills, but that's what I think we should be doing as the patient. Not much different than, you know, if you were at your physician's office, you know, you have a doctor's appointment. I don't know, you got hurt. He explains things. You try to learn some of the shit the doctor said about how to treat yourself.
Yeah.
The same kind of thing you should do with your therapist.
Yeah. I guess it's for the better, but this kind of brings us back to square one. Is I still see it as me improving myself and my perspective of the world, which improves my life and the people around me. It still doesn't fill in that hole that I have of
you
global
just said two
inequality and
things that are
suffering,
the
you
same
know?
thing. You say what you said again. What did you say? If I improve myself,
I still see it as only my life improving and some of the lives of the people around me improving. But it doesn't fill in that hole of global inequality and stuff, you know?
well, the whole has nothing to do with anything outside of your mind. The whole is inside your mind. And what we're talking about is changing your mind so there's no hole anymore.
You're saying my mind is just making it up, or as in I'm rejecting reality purely because I don't see it?
No, this right here. Your mind is the thing creating the want for cosmic punishment. Your mind doesn't have to do that. You can change your mind and not have that anymore. I'm not saying it's easy to do.
Okay, all right. I guess I can ruin that factor, but damn,
I mean,
I
I
don't know
think
how to
what you
word
just
this.
said also is, even if you change yourself, you still didn't fix cosmic reality. Okay, yeah. So what? We weren't trying to. Here's the whole. There isn't cosmic punishment. That's the whole you were referring to.
Yeah.
You're saying, if I change myself, you're saying, if I change this, if I change my want, that still doesn't change this whole. That's true. Nobody said it would. And even seeing that as a whole is a glitch. That's the part of the de-indoctrination. Why are you seeing that as a whole? Because here's how you're seeing it. There was cosmic punishment. You used to believe it. Now there isn't. And you're seeing that as a whole. But, well, there never was. It was an invented concept, and it's a dumb invented concept.
Yeah. That's one of the main things I hate about it is that people know that in this world, if you put work in, there's a high chance that you'll see progress, that you'll see the results, you know? Like, it's not 100% guaranteed, but there's factual evidence of people, of, let's say, like someone farming and then getting the fruits for their labor. But no one has ever seen the fruits for their labor for the afterlife, you know?
Yeah, it's really the biggest con.
Yeah, it's just frustrating, you know? Like, because like you see people, you're in a country, you're in a developing country, and you see people building mosques instead of schools, when you know, like, schools and hospitals would help, you know? Like, there's better third places instead of a mosque, you know?
You know, you're making a good point here. I think what you're saying here is,
Yeah, is it so frustrating? See, because like no
who,
one has seen afterlife, you know? Like, no one
the
knows their
people who
uncle who
believe
went to
in
Jahannam
cosmic
and was like, yeah, Jahannam was a place,
justice
man.
do not do shit in this world with regard to justice. Did you understand what I said there?
Yeah.
Yeah, the people who believe in cosmic justice, that means they're not doing shit in this world to make the justice happen.
Yeah, they're just praying every day, not for the sake of God or for others, just for the sake of themselves, you know? Like a lot of people don't even like religion. The only reason they're following is because they just don't want to face the negative consequences that are ingrained in their head, and you can't even blame them for it. That's what
attempting
where I was.
justice attempting justice in this world creates meaning in your life.
Yeah,
And the reason that the cosmic justice believers find no meaning without it is because they've never done, this is just a theory I have right now, okay? Somebody like that never really thought about how to make justice here. It
yeah,
makes sense. Look, those people, they weren't doing anything to fix the world.
yeah, true.
And what you'll find from the atheists or longtime ex-Muslims, we're doing a lot of shit to fix the world.
Yeah, only problem is this, it'll never be enough, which is, yeah, sure, we should ignore that. Actually, like,
I don't know
do
what
as
you mean
much
by
as we
never be
can.
enough. If you go back 2,500 years, imagine somebody recognizing and knowing everything we're saying here today. Like, for example, a Socrates
Okay.
of ancient Greece. Should he have said there will be never enough? By the way, he got executed by the state because, and what they said was, you infected the minds of the children to question God, so they killed him.
Yeah, kind of like how Islamic societies questions, kind of how Islamic society would treat ex-Muslims today, because I have a feeling that they know that their ideology would completely collapse when even a little bit of confusion.
But what do you
Or
mean there'll never be enough? Do you mean during your lifetime or during the next million years?
million years and my lifetime? Yeah, both.
Why do you believe they're like, okay, now, okay, you've made a claim about what's guaranteed going to happen in the future. Now tell me how you came up with that conclusion.
Because that's what we see in the past, and that's what repeats.
If it happened in the past, that means it's happening in the future. That's what you're saying?
I mean, yeah, that's my prediction of it. Either humanity ends due to.
And I explain it in detail, I think, in one of the 2 episodes you're about to watch. I do. I did. Yes, maybe twice. I'll tell you why the past does not determine the future. The past, if you think of a bunch of trends happening, all of those trends are based on the ideas from the past. If we invent a new idea today, it will change the trends.
As in, humanities will go through evolution again.
It's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
When did it ever stop?
I mean, true. Yeah, our life is just evolution. We learn and we implement.
So during those 2 episodes, we also talk about, and I think this is going to be the 4th episode, the one next week. We talk in detail about human knowledge evolving and literally evolution. Part of the thing to recognize about the fact that there's evolution involved is evolution means, okay, we're improving from previous states, but it also means there's no end state that is perfect. We will never reach perfect. We can keep getting better forever. We will never reach the end of perfect. We just keep getting closer to, like, if there was a God, what he knows.
Damn, typical human greed. Damn, one of the end game that I predicted or I finalized when removing Islam was that humanity is just another small blip in time, as in just the same way dinosaurs were alive, humanity is alive, and we won't be here for forever, and the earth will either continue to produce life or some other planet will, and that's the end of it.
Well, if you think of like the end of humans, I mean, that could be soon. It could be World War III next month, or it could be 1,000 years from now, or it could be when Earth ends and we don't escape it, or if we do escape Earth, then it could be another point later, or it's when the universe itself and we don't even know exactly what's going to happen. But suppose it's the variation of where it collapses. I mean, we would end that way. But all of this is so far in the future, or could be so far in the future. You know, if we think of just in the next 100 years, we can do things to make sure we don't kill ourselves. We can. I don't know. We're doing too well at it.
Oh, we're horrible at it.
Yeah, like as an example thing, we're doing not too well at. So what we do to the environment, we're really fucking up our Earth.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing, Rustam, is that humanity is just this constant cycle of good and evil, which eventually always just results in uh, a neutral position that's bad. You know, as in, it's always the same cycle of uh, good people create good world, and then the people in that create bad worlds because they aren't struggling, and it's just a constant cycle. You know, as in empires fall and then they rise. There's good.
There might be a cycle, but it's along a curve that is going up.
How so? Because like when with
there's many ways to look at it. When you say how so, you mean by what metrics, by what measures? And there's been at least one book where a philosopher wrote down the measures, and the measures are things like he measured crime rates, he measured death rates, he measured death rates from wars, he measured all sorts of stuff, and he tracked them over time, and they're going down.
Yeah, but let me give you a quick example here. As in, when medical technology improved to reduce premature deaths, everyone is happy, yay. But then it also meant that there are way more people in the world now, and there's way more suffering too.
Way more suffering because of what?
Because, well, if we remove one part of suffering and it was just replaced with another one. You don't have babies dying as much prematurely, but now you have.
I think it's smaller. Imagine the suffering you and I have compared to somebody that was a soldier in World War II.
A lot less.
I haven't seen shit.
Yeah, and that's where humanity is coming back to square one again. The reason we've had so much peace, at least in the developed world, for the past 50 to 100 years, is because there was so much bad during the 1940s and 20s for there to be good later. And now that there has been good going on for a good amount of time, humanity is going back to its roots, you know, as in something bad will happen again.
I don't know what you mean by back to its roots, because humanity's roots, I mean, you're gonna have to go back to like 2 million years ago, and it's difficult to know what the hell they were doing. But if you look at, I don't know, let's say if you look at any era of human history where we have some knowledge about it, it was much worse in the past.
In our eyes, yeah, but then again, we are people who are in a much more fortunate part of the world. Most of humanity is still under the global poverty line, you know.
I'm not comparing to America. I'm comparing, like, let's say 10,000 years ago to any point in on Earth today, anywhere, not just US.
Yeah, I feel like Muslims would digress and be like, man, I wish I was born in the 6th century or a primal world.
I've thought of stuff like that before, and I always land on, I would rather be born in the future. More human knowledge.
If optimistic, then yeah.
More human knowledge. But it also depends, you know, because we're not really sure what's going to happen in the future. Imagine our future is kind of like a dystopia where we fucked up our environment so much, 90% of the Earth is killed, humans and animals and plants.
Yeah, more human knowledge also means that more people in the world who now have more power to abuse said so knowledge, you know. Because I've really met Muslims who like hate knowledge and only like the Quran because in their countries, they've seen educated people
I think
take advantage of poor people purely because of the knowledge they have, because knowledge
I
does
think
at the
you're
end equal more power. Yeah.
I think you're just giving the basic point that as humanity improves in technology, and we make technologies that are both good and bad. Like, for example, when we invented nuclear power, that gave us the atomic bomb and nuclear power plants. Nuclear power plants are good when we do them right, and the nuclear bombs, we could argue they're bad in general. Imagine we never had them. And then argue this: now, as we go into the future, it'll be easier and easier for bad people to get the nuclear power. You know what I mean? As we go into the future, nuclear power will be easier and easier, even for less knowledgeable people. So, like 1,000 years from now, imagine every single country has 1,000 nukes bigger than what we have today by 1,000 times. That's what we're going to have in the future. So now what does that mean? What does that tell you? We better get gooder. We better get better. Fast. Faster than our technology is improving. What do you think about that? Uh-oh, I don't hear you. Trappa, are you there? So, Mulhid al-Islam, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't hear you for a while. What was the last thing you heard from me?
It was about the nuclear part, but will we improve though?
We don't know. But that's the point. We have to do things to make that future that we want. Instead of just saying, well, what are other people going to do? Because if you say what's going to happen in the future, that's like saying, what is everyone else going to do about it? I'm going to do nothing, but I want to know what everyone else is going to do. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
First of all, there's no way for you to know what everyone else is going to do. And second, you can affect change in what everyone else is going to do. That's what it means to be a leader.
Yeah. So your philosophy is basically just humans should be less selfish, and continue to just improve the world.
Yeah, look, when I improve the world, I'm also improving my own life and the lives of my kids and my descendants in the future.
Yeah.
So it's also selfish. When somebody just has a baby, that's a version of, they're doing something that, and they take care of the baby and they raise them. That's for somebody else, but they also get a lot of enjoyment out of that. And if it's a good relationship and if you're doing it right, you get benefits out of that too. Selfish benefits.
Yeah.
So you don't have to see it as a dichotomy where you're either being selfish or helping others. No, there can be both. It should be both.
Yeah, true.
So, by the way, I don't know if I wonder all this other talk we've been doing about like the far future and the past. I guess, I mean, it's not directly related to your conflict, but it's connected in some way. And maybe if you resolve some issues that are kind of distant to this, maybe it actually resolves this conflict for you. Like these other things about, hypotheticalizing what might happen in a million years and what would it take for us to get there and that kind of stuff. And really what that means is focusing on the earth justice rather than cosmic justice. But talking about how to actually change things rather than who should get punished about what bad thing they did in the past. You know, punishing people for the past, the actions they did, that does nothing for making change in the future. Absolutely nothing. At least nothing good. You know, the one idea people have is if you do punishment, it teaches others to avoid that. That's never been shown in evidence at all, ever.
Doesn't it hinder people, you know, as in
There's no evidence of that anytime ever. Like if you look at the numbers for prisons and you look at things like if you increase punishments, does it reduce the rates of crimes and stuff like that? It does not. Now, on the other side of it, if you don't even put people in jail at all, like not even a self-defense kind of jail, like which is what happens in California now when it comes to theft, like it's not even a crime that you can go to jail for. And then if you ask, well, did theft rates go up? Yes, it did a lot. But they are supposed to go to jail. You should put them in jail.
yeah.
Again, not to hurt them, but to stop them from harming us. Now, might they get hurt anyway? Well, sort of, because they don't want to be there. But that's not the intention. We're not trying to deliver pain. I mean, I don't want to. And the good prisons don't want to. So we're approaching an hour. Do you have any like thoughts or other things you want to bring up now, or do you want to talk more about the action plan, or what do you think?
Honestly, I have learned more, but have I come to a decisive conclusion? I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
you shouldn't expect to have a decisive conclusion in an hour.
Yeah.
I think the decisive conclusion will happen by yourself without me. Like when you're thinking on your own about these things. When this is done, I'm going to send this link to you, and I recommend you create a copy of it so that now you have your own version, and keep looking at that every day and keep adding notes to it. This is like your journaling document. And each time you look at it, you're going to make a unit of progress. You probably made a lot of progress in this 1 hour, but when you're journaling, each time you're doing that, you make a little bit of progress. It's going to take a lot of units of progress. I can't tell you how many. So one extra thing you can do is let's say for example, 3 months later from now,
Yeah.
you make another meeting with me and we do another live stream and we assess things again. I mean, you would have been assessing the whole 3 months, but it'll be the first time I'm looking at it again. And you don't have to wait 3 months, and you could take longer or shorter. It's up to you. Whenever you feel comfortable doing it again. Does that sound good? Are you there? I can't hear you. You there?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
still here.
Okay. So what do you think of this third one?
What?
To come on the show a second time, sometime in the future, whenever you feel comfortable, to do another meeting like this.
All right. Yeah, I guess I can consider it.
Yeah. Of course, it's no requirement. There's no promises.
Yeah. Oh, 1 second. I'll talk to you in 1 minute, unless you want to end the call.
No, that's fine. You can go ahead. So it looks like Trappa is busy for a second. Is there anyone on the live stream right now that wants to ask a question? I guess not. Nobody wants to talk about anything. We're going to be ending here soon. As soon as Trappa gets back and...
Damn.
All right, you
Yeah,
back?
Russell, yeah. What are we gonna talk about then?
Well, I think we're done. We were just making an action plan, and the last thing I said was, if you feel comfortable in the future at any point to come on the show again, and to get a little bit more help from me. Suppose you didn't resolve this yet, or suppose you want help with something else, and it would be helpful for the audience too to see your progress, your evolution over time.
So the action plan will be something along the lines of more therapy or something,
Well,
or
I
just
didn't write
gaining
it in
more
here, but
knowledge in your eyes.
I didn't write it in here, but I do recommend journaling and therapy. You want to put it in here?
Yeah. What would your advice be if someone tells me, "Yo, just read the Quran more" or something?
I mean, go ahead. What would be what problem is that trying to solve?
Not really. Probably just creating a new one, maybe, or just putting me back 2 steps ahead. I don't know.
Well, here, look. Every idea, any advice somebody gives you, it's an idea. It's an intended solution to a problem. So you got to ask, what's the problem it's trying to solve? And I think here it's very clear what problems these ideas are trying to solve. But when you say the idea of going to the Quran, okay, that's a solution for what problem?
The
What's is the problem? I want cosmic punishment, but there isn't cosmic punishment. So read the Quran so you can believe in cosmic punishment again.
Yeah, I guess then just goes back to getting rid of the problem that I'd created in the first place, or maybe just replacing one problem with another, but one that isn't.
Okay, the way Karl Popper and David Joyce said it is, we're always going from one problem set to another better problem set to another better problem set, and better meaning less flawed. And you never reach a perfect one. There will never be a time where you have no flaws. But going from one state to another, you have less flaws. And there's no reason for the flaws to go up. That would be like, I don't know, if you just read the Quran a bunch and don't do anything else. Like if you have some mental troubles and you also believe in jinn, and then now you believe that you're possessed by jinn, and then somebody tells you read the Quran, and then the Quran tells you go to an exorcist to get the
Yeah,
jinn
yeah.
out of
Generally, like Russian, like I've had people tell me that, like I had this one friend said that, I don't know, that an aunt of his was possessed and floating or something, and instead of a psychiatrist, like they go to Islamic exorcist. Like, what are they gonna do? I mean, do you have any idea on what they go about?
I've sort of been in one. I watched it happen. I wanted to see it. He just
What was
recites some
happening?
Quran stuff, and he's spraying a water bottle on somebody's face.
Yeah, and these are same people that question Christians for being stupid. Like,
Well, first of
what's
all,
the
they're
difference
lying.
between
They're not
your
doing
holy
it.
water and their
Look,
holy water?
I don't believe that they believe what they're doing is real. I believe they're just getting money out of people
Hmm. Could
because
be,
they're
yeah,
collecting.
but the people who see it as a solution probably believe it.
Yeah, they do. That's why they're going to get it done.
Okay, wait. Then don't you think that maybe the people doing it also kind of believing it, because what's happening is kind of like
No, I think
uh,
what some of
it's
them are
kind of
doing
like
is
the fake medicine thing, as in the people who go to them
right,
believe that it'll
right.
it'll fix it, and it
Yeah,
indirectly actually does improve it.
yeah. It can happen for people by luck, but I think it doesn't happen with everyone, and it's going wrong just as many times as it's going right. And it's probably going
Yeah.
wrong 80% of the time. But no, I get what you mean. If the imam doesn't believe in jinn, and they have a theory that, okay, well, I know this person believes in jinn, so I'll just lie and say there really is jinn, and then I'll tell them I took it out, and then if it succeeds, meaning they believe it's gone, then everything's good. You
Yeah,
know,
and
yeah,
like folks even say that Muhammad was possessed, and if he can fall a victim, then who can? It's just doesn't add up. There's just so many human aspects to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that was good. Do you have anything else you want to say, or to the audience, or to me, or ask a question? I'm gonna send you these links.
I don't know. At what age did you like start indoctrinating yourself?
De-indoctrinating. Well, I left Islam when I was 32. I'm 46 now.
Dang. Okay, so kind of midlife, I guess.
Yeah.
Did it result in a midlife crisis? How do you keep it for that long? You know, especially
Well,
considering you live in the
I had a
States.
much worse thing happening to me right in that moment, which was a divorce where we had 2 kids involved, and it was a really shitty divorce, and that was much worse than my religious quote unquote crisis.
Okay.
And they're
Oh, so
connected. They're connected.
so basically just questioning the suffering.
I don't know what you're saying there. You're asking why I left Islam?
As in there was just so much suffering that you questioned the religion in the first place?
Sorry, my phone made noise. Can you say that again?
What I meant was as in so much suffering had concluded at one point in time that it just made you question the religion in the first place.
No, that's not why I left Islam. Not because of that. I left Islam because, first of all, right before I left Islam, if you can imagine, you shifted throughout your life in why you believe in Islam. Your original theory was, and you probably couldn't have said this, I believe in Islam because my parents told me Islam is real. Maybe you were 4 years old when you believed that. Then later you got smarter and you realize that's dumb and you come up with something else. And then you realize that's dumb and you come up with something else. And then you realize that's dumb. Now, let me tell you the last phase I had. I thought Islam is for morality. And that means, Islam is for telling you how to lead a good life. And then when me and my wife separated, it was really hard for her. And she started to believe, she believed she's possessed by jinn. And I watched her go to, go to exorcists. And what I was seeing was, okay, so she's following Islam more and it's ruining her life. So that contradicted my theory. Hold on. Do you see what I mean by it contradicted my theory?
Yeah, as in you saw her reaching towards something and it just making her more crazy.
Yes. So my theory that Islam makes your life better was wrong. And that's when I realized 2 things. One, that I realized my ideas are different than Islam. The idea of I got mental troubles, I'm going to go to the hospital. That's different than Islam. And it's also superior to Islam. My ideas are better than Islam. So I'm not a Muslim. And, before that, I thought
Yeah.
that a lot of the good ideas I had were actually Islamic, like part of Islam, but they're not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so like what did she do? Did she go to an exorcist or something or what?
Yeah, I took her there. I took her there because, first of all, I wanted to see what the fuck she was talking about. What is this shit people are doing? And 2, I actually had that same theory that you said, maybe if she believes if she's wanting this, so let's go do it and see if she feels better afterwards. And no, she didn't. She got worse. Like, she started to say things like, he didn't get the jinn out of me.
Dang. Yeah, because Rasim, like I have so much to like tell you about this because when I started talking to my friends about it, and I would listen to music in the shower, and one of my friends literally just went, "Yo, this is Satan's work, like you're not believing in it, and that Satan's work."
Yeah. You there? Something's wrong with your audio. You keep coming in and out. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Great. Yeah. What I was saying was is that a lot of times, like when you question Islam, the problem arises that when you tell Muslims about it, this starts denying shit like, oh, you're being possessed by jinns and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just such a waste of time sometimes for asking them for help, because you know that they'll just lead you to the only message they see in life, which is Islam itself, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a look, if you think of two kinds of methods, the scientific method and then the mythological method. And, you know, like there's whole fields that are one or the other. And of course, they're a little bit mixed too, in the sense that, you know, there's can be a field where they're fucking up a little bit, mythological shit, but almost the rest of everything they're doing is pretty damn good. So as two examples, okay? Chemistry as a field, and before chemistry, there was alchemy. Now, alchemy, nobody does anymore. It's dumb. It's mythology. Chemistry, we do instead now. But they are related in the sense that chemistry evolved from alchemy. The scientific theories we have in chemistry evolved from mythological theories in alchemy. But today, you know, does it make sense if you have a chemistry issue? Are you going to go to an alchemist to get your question answered? Well, first of all, they don't exist anymore. Nobody does that. But let's talk about psychology. If you have a psychology issue, you want to learn about a psychology issue, are you going to go to a psychologist, which is trained in a scientific field, and they study things like physics, chemistry, and biology? Or do you want to talk to a horoscope person? Astrologist? Are you there? Hello, Trappa. Oh, looks like we lost your audio again. This might be a good time to stop. We're 13 minutes over already. I think we should stop here. I don't have any housekeeping or anything. This is kind of a bland episode because Osama's not here. But next episode, part 4, we're going to be talking about epistemology. That's the study of knowledge. We're going to be teaching it, at least in summary form. And then we'll be explaining how to do journaling. And we'll be explaining how to get therapy. Like how to be the patient, how to find kind of the right therapist, how to deal with the therapist, how to recognize what is really a therapist versus what really isn't one, but they call themselves therapists. All right. So that's it, everyone. Have a good week.